Up onto the back straightaway for a couple of pace laps. Set by the rule book, Ron Silk, the defending series champion and current point leader, is on the pole. He'll line up alongside Justin Bonsignore, who's pulling double duty today. He'll be in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race later on today.
In the second row, the iconic blue number 3, Jake Johnson, the winner at Monadnock earlier this season, alongside the 64 of Austin Beers with 3 top 5s in 2024.
Patrick Emmerling starts 5th. He won a non-points modified race here several years ago in a Whelen modified tour car. Craig Lutz will start 6th.
The 7th starting spot goes to the number 22 of Kyle Bonsignore, and then Trevor Catalano will start in 8th in the number 56.
The rest of the Catalano clan will start 9th and 10th. The oldest brother, Tommy Catalano, will start 9th. Tyler Catalano will round out the top 10.
11th starting spot goes to the number 18 of Ken Hagee, and the 12th starting spot to the veteran driver Tim Connolly in the yellow number 4.
Starting 13th, Tyler Ripkema took a race off, but he's back. Had a strong run here a year ago. He'll roll off 13th alongside Melissa Fifield in 14th.
The 15th starting spot in the 8th row, the number 58 of Eric Goodale. He'll start alongside Doug Colby in the Tommy Baldwin Jr. number 7.
You go back to row number 9, Jake Lutz is in for Bobby Santos, who couldn't make it to the track on time because of a travel scenario for him. We'll get more into that later. Gary McDonald will roll off to his outside in 18th.
Row 10 finds the 00 of Andy Jankowiak alongside the number 89 of Matt Swanson.
Ryan Preece, NASCAR Cup Series driver and modified ace, has got his family modified, starting 21st. Chase Dowling, 2018 winner of the Musket 250 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He starts 22nd.
Back in the 12th row, 23rd starting spot goes to the 06 of Sam Ramo, and alongside of him, the bright number 17 of Anthony Nocella.
Mike Marshall makes his second career Whelen Modified Tour start today here in New Hampshire. Matt Kimball, a native of the short tracks here at New Hampshire, he'll take a try at the Magic Mile today.
27th starting spot finds the number 38, Luke Baldwin of the Baldwin Racing family, making his first ever NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour start alongside the former champion of the Modifieds in the number 79, John McKennedy.
Andy Seiss and John Michael Chenette rounding out the starting lineup for today's Mohegan Sun 100. Let's take a look at the race analysis for today's event. Today's race, a historic battle for modified competition. It'll be 100 laps. The temperature has cooled quite a bit from what we saw here yesterday. 63 degrees, 12% chance of rain. Fuel, you could make it almost the entire way on one tank of fuel. You need just a little splash of gas to get the whole way. The tire change today, these teams were awarded 12 tires when they showed up at the track today. They can take any combination of 12 as the day goes on. We'll take a look at some of the keys to the race today. It's all about the draft here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That sets us up for 3 important keys when it comes to race day. And among them, you want to stay in a position, clean pit stop to have room to be able to race for it at the end. You're looking to stay within the lead draft. This is a track that all of a sudden you can't make up a lot of ground if you get back 15th, 20th. At the end, you got to be within the top 5, and you've got to time that last move to the checkered flag right. Up atop the flag stand here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, a representative of the Mohegan tribe, Dan Quidgen, will be the individual to throw the green flag in the Mohegan Sun 100. Field rolls through turns 3 and 4. They have waved off the initial start, and they will rack them up one more time. Lights in that Toyota pace car came on before they got through the center of turns 3 and 4. So Bob Slade atop the flag stand will go ahead and just give the one to go one more time. We talked yesterday that there was a one practice session for the Whelen Modified Tour cars. They had an opportunity to see the track for about an hour or so. That practice was won by Ryan Preece, quickest car in the field in that 40. But Pete, you alluded to it when we came on air today, that Ryan Preece, because the points set the starting lineup today, the owner's points, Ryan Preece has only run one race this season. He's 21st on the starting grid. He will start deep in the field today.
And as you mentioned in the keys to the race, you want to be in that lead draft, even this early on in the Mohegan Sun 100. So he's got some pedaling to do to get to the front.
Ron Silk, Norwalk, Connecticut driver. He's a defending series champion. He's had a great year this season already on the Whelen Modified Tour. Expect him to be strong. He's got a couple of victories here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He'll start on the pole by virtue of that starting lineup set by the rulebook. The field now on the back straightaway, and Ron Silk has elected to start in the outside lane, so the silver number 16 car is the point leader. He is the pole sitter for today, and to his left elbow is going to be the 51 car of Justin Bonsignor, a three-time winner here at this racetrack. Up off turn number 4, looking for the green flag in the Mohegan Sun 100. It's Silk and Bonsignor to bring them to green.
Silk will nose the lead just to the end of the straightaway, but here comes Bonsignor with a bold move down on the inside in the first turn.
Bonsignor powers up ahead. He's the defending race winner of this event a year ago, had a lot of strength early on and drove away from the field. But right now he's a car length ahead of Ron Silk, who rides in his tire tracks to the outside. The young driver Jake Johnson driving Old Blue, winner at Monadnock Speedway for his first career win just a couple of weeks ago, challenging to the bottom.
And speaking of a challenge, here comes Silk with a run back to the front, down on the inside of Bonsignor. He'll try to make the pass down into turn 1.
Already a lead change when they came across the line. Bonsignor took the lead in turn 2. Silk takes it right back, and Bonsignor wants more on the back straightaway. He draws even down to the bottom of turn number 3, sweeps out in front and takes over the top spot.
Yeah, a lot of lead changes in this race traditionally, and we've seen it happen already in the opening laps. Bonsignor back to the point. He'll lead him out of turn 4.
Here comes Ron Silk, though. Crossover move across the start-finish line to the inside lane, and he will take back the top spot through the middle of turns 1 and 2. But watch Bonsignor. He backs it up a little bit, gets to the accelerator quickly off turn 2, and he looks to the inside of the backstretch.
Just the momentum he needs to make that pass once again down into 3, and he shoots it down in there deep. Makes the pass, goes back to the point, but no doubt only temporarily.
Behind them, you see the 22 car of Kyle Bonsignor. That's a cousin of the race leader, Justin Bonsignor. He's on the bottom, but the outside lane draft is working pretty good. Craig Lutz gets by him, Trevor Catalano. His older brother, Tommy Catalano, in the 54 is right there.
And the leaders in a freight train off the second turn and down the backstretch. Here's Silk again with a peek to the bottom.
Looking inside in turn 3. Silk draws even, gets ahead. Austin Beers riding in the 3rd spot, closes in on Bonsignor.
Yeah, Beers has a great view of this, and no doubt learns a little when he watches these other guys when they make the move, and he too would like to pull out a line and make a pass.
The draft snakes down into turns 1 and 2. Now, it's a little different than the stock car style draft you might see at Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta, but these modifieds make such a big hole in the air that the draft is on all day long as Bonsignor goes back to the point.
Yeah, just as he's done several times, gets around the inside of Silk and goes back to the lead as they head out of 4 and across the stripe to complete another lap in the Mohegan Sun 100.
If you follow modified racing, you know that there is no love lost between Justin Bonsignor and Ron Silk. Ron Silk, his crew chief, one of his best friends, is the crew chief for Justin Bonsignor in that 51 car. And they know each other well, and they've had their battles over the years for the championship, and there's more already still on the racetrack now. Patrick Emmerling is on the move. He looks to the inside and completes the pass over Tommy Catalano.
Just like we've seen up at the front, right there in the middle of the pack, some passes making news here, like Emmerling, who moved to the inside and made that move, still in that mid-pack draft.
You're watching the battle here between the one of Emmerling. He rides 7th at the moment. You see how close they are with Tommy Catalano in that 54. Now Tyler Ripkema diving to the inside in turns 3 and 4, trying to pick up a spot on both Catalano and Emmerling as they come off turn 4.
Yeah, trying to make that stick. They barely touch out of turn 4, but Ripkema just can't get the momentum out of the turn, and now he gets passed by Kobe.
You see the value of the draft as Ripkema just gets freight trained after trying to make that move. Great job by Tommy Catalano to make that move over Patrick Emmerling and pick up the spot just outside the top 5, riding 7th.
Yeah, Ripkema trying to find a spot where he can get back up into the draft. He's doing a good job to hang with those guys on the inside, but nothing's opening up for him on the top.
You see Doug Kobe in the 7 New York running a Bugsy Stevens tribute scheme, and there's smoke smoke coming out of the 7 New York of Kobe as he goes through turns 1 and 2. It started billowing off the end of the front straightaway, and that car is smoking heavily.
Yeah, that could be trouble as they start to scurry around him. There goes Emmerling again with another pass. Meanwhile, up front, you've got Silk being chased by Bonsignor, Beers, and Johnson, as it has been since the start.
Out in front, you see Ron Silk leading the way, Justin Bonsignor, 5 cars packed tightly together off turn number 2 in that lead draft. Kyle Bonsignor, he was making moves early on, and he was trying to hang on to that draft among the lead cars, but he has since slid back a little bit. The 7 New York of Doug Kobe continues to smoke out the right side.
No doubt a lot of discussion going on between the crew and Kobe as to what that issue may be, keeping an eye on the gauges as they race down into turn 1. And we've got the caution flag.
Caution is out. There's a car stopped along the back straightaway. It's Mike Marshall who has made contact with the outside safer barrier here about 3/4 of the way down the back straightaway at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Mike making his second Whelen Modified Tour start. Made a start at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park earlier the year as part of Icebreaker Weekend in April. But his car now in the outside wall. Very tight quarters racing here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the draft. And everybody on the loud pedal here now 10 laps in of 100 today.
Yeah, heavy damage there to the right side of the MLM Diagnostics 28 for Mike Marshall, and a tough break to be out this early.
So let's take a look at some of the drivers that we had our eye on at the start of the race who started toward the back of the pack that we knew would be pretty quick. We saw that Ryan Preece started in 21st. He's been able to move up to 19th so far. He's picked up a couple of positions early on. That was the fastest car in practice earlier today. We also had the Luke Baldwin car, and Luke started deep in the field as well. He's picked up quite a bit. Luke started in 27th in his debut. He's driving the yellow number 38 today, the SS Racing entry. And there's Ryan Preece in the 40 car. Flamingo Motorsports, race choice on the side of that car. Flamingo Motorsports, the sponsor for Ryan Preece when he won his only Whelen Modified Tour Championship back in the 2013 season. Alongside him, you see the yellow 38 of Luke Baldwin. Mike Marshall out of the 28 car. We're 11 laps in to the Mohegan Sun 100 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Back here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, it's the 7th race of the 2024 schedule for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Today, the Mohegan Sun 100 working the first caution of the morning on lap 13 of today's event. Mike Marshall got into trouble along the back straightaway and made contact on the right side of his number 28 modified along the back straightaway. That car has since been cleared off the racetrack, and many of the modified faithful out here on the hill, one of the most popular places to watch along the back straightaway here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, enjoying the action here on this early morning. Camping here at this racetrack, always very, very full. The parking lots are full, even with the weather in the area, and the faithful are here to see open wheel modified competition. And Pete, so far, several lead changes among two of the veterans of the series with Justin Bonsignore and Ron Silk. They've been up on the wheel for the first 10 laps of green flag competition.
Yeah, we talked about early on some of the guys that were starting in the back because we did not have typical qualifying. Guys that we saw that were fast in practice yesterday, but because of lining up according to the rule book, they ended up going to the back. One of them is Matt Swanson in the 89. He had started back in the 20th spot. He is up to 11th and seems to be among the best of the guys that we saw fast in practice yesterday and have to come from the back. So he advanced quite a few spots in the first 10 laps of this race.
Doug Coby in that 7 New York is back down on pit lane. Coby, a 4-time winner at New Hampshire Motor Speedway and a 6-time Whelen Modified Tour champion, certainly a Hall of Fame driver when it comes to modified competition. They've got the hood off on that 7 New York. They're looking on the right side to see whether or not they can determine, is it a leak, is what is going on that's creating the smoke for that 7 New York. Now, the car owner for that car is Tommy Baldwin. His son, Luke Baldwin, is driving the 38 car today for a different team and making his debut. This is a team that is very, very well respected. Dave Lewis there with Robert Yates Racing Engines on the right side of that race car, trying to see if they can diagnose exactly what the issue is. And they've got wrenches in hand as Doug Coby now goes down one lap, sitting on pit lane here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A tough break for Doug. He's got 4 wins here, but it's been 8 years since his last one in 2016. And he was right in the mix in a photo finish in this event 1 year ago. But certainly now with problems on pit road, as it looks like they're going to try to take the valve cover off that right side of that 7 New York to see if they can determine maybe he dropped a valve on that engine.
Yeah, and they're ready to slap the hood back on as soon as they can. Interesting paint scheme on that car as they salute the great Bugsy Stevens, who passed away just a couple of weeks ago at the age of 90. Bugsy, the 3-time NASCAR national champion, and of course a big star in the early days of the modifieds. Thus the paint scheme saluting the great Bug Stevens on the Tommy Baldwin Jr. number 7.
And a great tribute that was held at the Seekonk Speedway, the last race on tour for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, celebrating Bugsy. His entire family, all the fans and the race teams lined around the outside of the Concrete Palace and had the opportunity to honor Bugsy Stevens one last time on track. So, field is now doubled up on the back straightaway, getting set to go. They'll see lap 17 when they come across the granite stripe of the 100 here today for the Mohegan Sun 100. The front row will have Ron Silk on the bottom. Justin Bonsignore, the race leader. We've seen the strength of the outside lane. He has decided the top lane. Now, unlike the National Series, it's only the front row that can decide whether or not they want to start on the inside or the outside. Justin Bonsignore, race leader, chose the outside. Everybody else, odd number of positions on the bottom, even number of positions on the outside. No choose rule in the Whelen Modified Tour. Pace car hits the apron down at turns 3 and 4. Ready to get back after it here at the Magic Mile with Justin Bonsignore and Ron Silk on the front row.
Green flag back in the air, and they're side by side across the stripe and down into turn 1.
Silk sweeping up in front, using that bottom lane of the racetrack. But how about the young Austin Beers out of Northampton, Pennsylvania? Just does not have the launch off turn number 2. He'll give up third, and here comes Bonsignore with another bid for the lead.
Yeah, that outside line is the way to go, particularly coming out of the turn and firing down the straightaway. And that evident again by Bonsignore, able to sweep underneath and make the pass as they head down the front stretch.
Austin Beers rather, falling back on the inside of the track. That moves Trevor Catalano in the 56 car inside the top 4, but now they're 3 wide for a moment, getting through turns 1 and 2. They sort it out.
That is some close racing as again we look for another pass for the lead, and that's the case down into turn 3. There's Silk with the move as he's done several times in this race already. Makes the move on the inside, sweeps past Bonsignor to go back to the point.
A tight pack comes across the line again. Silk, Bonsignor, Jake Johnson. And you've got Trevor Catalano in 4th and Kyle Bonsignor, who's rallied back inside the top 5 to ride there in 5th in the 22 car.
And you can see the hassle with being on the inside as it has happened to Austin Beers as he continues to fade down on the inside, can't get back up into the draft and continue with a move back to the front.
Talk about cars that are on the move. Look at the car who rides in 6th. That's Eric Goodale in the 58 machine. Goodale has had a rough season, and he split this car with his cousin Timmy Solomito, who's driven for a couple of races. They made wholesale changes to their approach coming into this race. Eric's been extremely frustrated. He's driven from 15th up to 6th so far in this race. His car looks better than it has all season.
And he's always been close here at New Hampshire and certainly looking to get to the front. We're only 20 laps into this Mohegan Sun 100. He's got plenty of time to work his way to the point.
And those pit stops that we saw under that one and only caution allowed the field to shuffle quite a bit, brought some of the drivers that were at the tail end of the field forward, including Luke Baldwin and Ryan Preece, who you see working through turns 1 and 2 to the back straightaway. That yellow 38, Luke Baldwin, making his debut. Ryan Preece, 26-time winner of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, directly behind in the 40 car.
And that lead pack again, led by Bonsignor as they head off the 4th turn and down across the stripe. Everybody settled in, just following in the draft at this point.
Can't say enough about the driver of that 56 car riding in 4th, Trevor Catalano. First time seeing this racetrack. He's had 6 events this year, been in the top 5 twice, came home 12th at Seekonk. These big racetracks, he's done really well. You go back to the race at Richmond earlier in the year, he came home 3rd. Did Trevor Catalano. He's been such a bright young talent as a young man, with the 3 Catalano brothers all competing in the Whelen Modified Tour here this season, and he's been the bright spot of this team, and very impressive to see how quickly, as a rookie, he's adapted to modified racing at this level.
Yeah, he's got the family bragging rights for sure so far in 2024. Let's see what he can do with the rest of this race, the Mohegan Sun 100 at New Hampshire.
They snake their way down the backstretch through turns 3 and 4. Mostly flat turns here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. You see these modifieds run that 3rd groove. That's where the banking is about 7 degrees. And these modifieds, you can drive them in a lot deeper than you can the heavier stock cars that we'll see later in the race weekend.
Talked about Luke Baldwin, who got just out of that upper groove and gets past, trying to get back up into the drafting situation as we see another car on pit road, the 00 of Andy Jankowiak in trouble.
Yeah, Andy Jankowiak pulls that car down to the attention of his crew. The Steve Mendoza entry will get some work there. You see some good action here. There's Matt Swanson in the number 89 car, back up front. Silk able to get back ahead of Justin Bonsignor as they make their way down the back straightaway. Bonsignor will cross him up again midway down the back straightaway and try to jump that out in front. 6 cars in that lead draft. Has now got about 20 car lengths back to the 7th place machine as they continue to try to create some distance back to Ryan Preece, who rides by himself in 7th.
Yeah, they keep trading the lead off back and forth between the 51 and the 6. It looks like work, it looks like it's nerve-wracking, but they'll tell you it's a blast the way they go back and forth to the lead like that.
Here's Silk again to challenge to the bottom for the lead. A little bit deeper in the pack, though. We continue to watch some great action, too. There's good action up front with Silk charging to the front. You see good action in that battle between Tyler Ripkema in the 32, Luke Baldwin in the 38. Good action everywhere you look here, and that's what this race is about. You can pick many battles that certainly can find intriguing, the subplot, the stories beneath every one of them, and that's the excitement here of racing at the Magic Mile.
Starting to get some separation now in that lead pack as you see the front 3 had kind of pulled away from the 4th place runner, and just then Silk, with moving to the bottom of the racetrack, did not allow Bonsignor to slip underneath to make the pass, so they'll follow each other nose to tail across the stripe.
This is one of the few laps that they haven't been trying to swap the lead here on one end of the racetrack in turn 1. Silk has a slight advantage as they exit turn 2. Bonsignor again with another strong run will dart down to the bottom. midway down the back stretch and put that 51 back in the top spot. Behind them, Eric Goodale is challenging for the 5th spot. A moment ago, Kyle Bonsignor moved into 4th. Trevor Catalano now back to 5th. And Eric Goodale trying to take that spot away, but can't do it as they come across the granite stripe.
Yeah, went down on the inside, trying to make the pass, and just lost some of the momentum there, so pulls back up into line. And part of that lead freight train, if you will, on the backstretch.
And Ryan Preece now lurking within 6 car lengths of that lead draft of 6 cars as he closes in. Now 2 car lengths, now 1. It's a 7-car lead pack at the front. Bonsignor out in front and Preece at the tail end.
All content to ride in line at this point as we're a third of the way through the Mohegan Sun 100. Leaders off the second turn and down the backstretch.
Ryan Preece in the 40 car started 21st today. Last driver to win from 21st was John Blewett III. He did it in 2006, but Mike Stefanik in 1998 won this race from the 40th position, so it can be done, especially with the draft. And Preece has just about erased any deficit he had at the start of this race, 31 laps in to find himself in the lead draft.
Yeah, he's right there with the rest of them as